All right, welcome to our first full week of AIST3720. I'm just going to try to unpack what we're doing here for the next couple of weeks. I won't always give a beginning of week overview in a video, but I felt like for the first few weeks there's just a lot of little things going on till we settle in. So we're in week one. When you click on the agenda after I post this video, it'll jump to week one. So if you need the other stuff that's back here, you can always scroll back. Don't have any homeroom announcements. Do have some read and study execute, so a chapter from the book, just read it, some video modules in this Linux administration, and both of those links will take you to those O'Reilly books. And we have a Tech Prac due in a couple of weeks, and I might unpack a little bit of that. Primarily what we'll be doing are creating VMs, as we will see. But let me just move on to, this is my bullet points for what I want to get through here. Actually, your grades for Tech Prac 00 have been posted. If there's any questions you have, or issues, why this off, and if you want to revisit something that maybe I should have done that, just ask me and I'll probably look at a submission. Notice that in Tech Prac 1 I say that the first thing to do is get this quiz taken care of. And so I'm going to view this as student, probably should have done that. So you got this message here, but one of the things you have to do within the next couple of weeks is go here and take this quiz. When you kind of go click into the quiz, it's item 1, it's taken from this chapter 1. I give you 2 tries at it. So you get 1 try and I'll tell you what you got wrong, but not what you got wrong. So then you can go back and maybe study a little bit and fix that. So that's just trying to make sure that you've read the material. A lot of it's sort of vocabulary oriented and that kind of thing. So that's right. I was looking at this from the agenda. So realize that taking that quiz is one of the things that counts for the grading, but it's over in quizzes rather than assignments. If you want to use VirtualBox or you have some other VM, hypervisor, if you haven't ever heard one, is just the software that manages a virtual machine. And what a virtual machine is, it's a computer running within your computer. So we have the hardware and it's shared out. It's a miraculous kind of process, and we'll work with it and see more about it as we go through the term. But I can help better with VMware, and you get free copies of VMware products. If you have an M1 Mac, this UTM, and there's guidance on how to install it, and that down here is the only thing that I know that will do the OSs we're virtualizing. And so just realize that if your Mac has an M1, and I think there was some guidance on how to tell last week. If you have any questions, reach out. Make sure you have empty disk space where you're going to put your virtual machines. It'll probably default to your documents folder when you build them, but you can always put them out, say, on a USB drive. And in fact, having a USB portable drive, not a thumb drive, an actual, it's a spinnable hard drive, and not a bad idea. Then you can keep your virtual disks there, and they'd be portable, and it has some advantages, especially if you're a little close on disk space. Just these VMs get big, and then if we do backups, and we almost need a duplicate of the VM, so it takes disk space. And in fact, disk space is the number one issue technical that students run into doing this course. Sometimes it hits at the worst time in the middle, because you get started okay, and then your disk space fills up, and then you're just kind of sunk. So some things you need to do this week here are install a hypervisor, and it's a so there's guidance depending on which version you're doing. And by the way, last week there was some guidance on, this is where you get your VMware. So kind of look at that. You should have gotten an email. So tell me if you don't or you haven't and you can't get that software. So I'm kind of assuming here you got what you needed or know how to get what you needed. But depending on what you're doing, installing it. We're going to be doing Ubuntu and Windows Server. Ubuntu is a Linux distros, how they abbreviate. But if you kind of click here, I would accept all. It's going to squirt some cookies down here. We're going to do the desktop. The server version wouldn't have an interface, so you download this here, Ubuntu desktop, and download that. It'll be an ISO. It's kind of the image that would go on a DVD. So kind of put that somewhere where you can get to it. Just for instance, I have my stuff here on a portable hard drive. It's one of these two guys. Yeah. And so there we are, and the Ubuntu there, it'll come out. And an ISO, as I said, is a disk image file, and it's something you can mount, okay? So you want to get that somewhere where you know where to find it. So when you go to install, we're going to get the Windows Server installed from Azure. So if you follow the guidance here, use your Augusta Edu credentials there, maybe agree to some things the first time, but you'll end up in Azure, and you can go out to the education. They call these blades or education page. Go to software, and you can search for Windows Server. I think I showed some of this last week. And get this. In addition to downloading the software, make a view and copy the key because you'll need it. One of the critical alerts for PC owners, no students have done this for a while, but realize that ISO, that install with Windows is it's live, and you can accidentally, if you're not careful, install it on your own PC. So what you're going to want to do with that is follow the guidance here for doing a Windows Server VM using VMware on a workstation on a PC. This is what you do not want to do, is double click that download. All right, now it kind of gives you this warning, but you can just, if you do okay, what that does is that mounted a virtual DVD drive over here. Let me get this over here. So it's almost like that. It looked at that and made up a drive. It's like I had the physical stuff and I had a DVD drive F. So there's no reason to mount either of these ISOs on your own PC, but what you don't want to do then is double click setup here while you're on your PC, because that will start setting up Windows Server on your PC. If you follow through and agree, it'll override everything you have, and it really is hard to get back unless you've been really careful about checkpoints and backups and that kind of thing. So don't double-click that download and then just double-click setup, because that's what I do all the time, is you just double-click what's there and a setup. And so this week, and I'll just let you get started with it, and then I'll probably do in our video walkthrough next week, hit some high points, let me know about issues. But once you get those items, here's documentation on creating the Linux VM. Here's documentation on creating your Windows Server VM, some things that you need to do after you've got them set up. And if you can get both of those VMs up on their feet this week, you'll be in great shape. So we can see what TechPrac has. We have this question and answer. You create a VM and create a VM. Then you're going to do some work in the file system, making directories, making files, moving files, all that. There's a video that helps. The content that you read and the videos that I've asked you to look at in O'Reilly help with that. And then you're going to create users, and there's some documentation on how to do that. So it's all kind of pivots, and the rest of the course, for the most part, does pivot on getting these VMs. And so all I can maybe suggest at this point is get started, let me know if you hit issues, but 99% of the time, nothing happens and you have them, but they don't create themselves. So good luck getting started. And as always, reach out with questions or issues. Take care.